Hello citizen. Be advised this content creator is human and is therefore subject to human error. Any information provided by this content creator should be cautiously approached as it may be nothing more than allegation. Remember, trust your government, consume appropriate content, and be cautious of all conspiracy theories as they are the tools of the rebellion.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the 21 CD podcast. As always, I'm your ghost, John. If this is your first time here, welcome. And if you guys want to support the podcast, and I definitely hope you do because I need all the support I can get, then you can head on over to 21cdstudios.com and you can buy yourself some merch or click on some of the other links that you find there and follow me everywhere. Right now, we have some propaganda flyers in the store for sale, and honestly, I think they are pretty cool. That's pretty substantial paper, guys. It's not like your typical posters. These things might be able to stop a bullet. I'm not sure. I haven't tried. Somebody let me know in the comments. So anyway, yes, you can buy these on 21cdstudios.com, and you can also find the Spotify and the Instagram and all that kind of stuff. For anybody wondering about their order, all the orders have been fulfilled. They're all on their way to you. And I can't wait to see you guys send me pictures of them on your walls. Okay? Guys, the forbidden knowledge that I have discovered for this episode. Maybe discovered is the wrong word. Like, I haven't discovered it like I'm some archaeologist or anything, but this story that I'm about to tell you is such an absolute banger. The more I researched this topic, the more I was just horrified for both the fate of the world and us as a species and for my own safety because of what I'm about to put out there. Also, according to listener request from my brother himself, I have a note here. I'm going to start declaring when an episode is going to have heavy video or photographic evidence portrayed in the YouTube videos. Instead of just you guys watching me talk to you like any other podcast for half an hour and then all of a sudden I start dropping, hey, you should go check out the YouTube. I'm going to start telling you guys in the beginning if you should go check out the YouTube. So I know a lot of you guys listen on podcast platforms and not on YouTube. So from now on, in the beginning of every episode, like right about now, I'm just going to say, hey guys, guess what? There's a ton of video and or photographic evidence in this YouTube video. So if you want to see that for yourself, you can change to YouTube right now, or you can check it out later. Thanks. I just want you guys to know. Okay? Going back to my safety, I haven't really talked about it much, but I do feel like I have some kind of stalker lately. And I'm not going to get too deep into it because I'm still trying to figure out if it's true, if I'm just being paranoid, if it's physical or spiritual. I don't really know what is happening, but some weird stuff is happening in and around my home. So anytime I start talking about this kind of stuff, I do get a little nervous, and I've kind of tried to stay away from it since I was banned for my Pizzagate episode, which you can also find in the description, by the way. But this was something that I just could not resist. This episode is so all over the world that I didn't even know how to title it. I kind of just picked the thing that sounded like it made the most sense. And I absolutely, by the way, must give some credit to the YouTube channel Mysterious Middle East for the insane deep dive into this topic. If you guys check them out, you're going to find a lot of corroborating and similar information portrayed in both shows. But their presentation was and is some of the best that I've seen on YouTube. So if you guys do want to watch their video, head on over to Mysterious Middle East and look for their video, Ancient Canaanite Occultism. It's insane. It's thanks to them that this episode exists. I did take it quite a bit farther, but that's just kind of my way. And that being said, I couldn't have done it without the base that they gave me to launch off of, because when I saw their video about the Black Desert and all of these locations, I was so intrigued. And then when I started researching, a bunch of little theories that I've had for a long time started connecting to each other over the course of my research for this episode. So, this is a long Very long story. It touches everything from individual murder to the kidnapping or disappearance of entire classrooms, warfare, and both on the spiritual and the physical side of things, Nephilim, Annunaki, portals, the hollow earth. This thing touches everything, but in a weird way, it makes sense. It's simple in a complex way, and so I think it's perfect for this show, and I'm not going to keep rambling. Let's get to this. Harat al-Sham, also known as the Black Desert, is a vast volcanic field located in the Middle East, primarily extending across parts of southern Syria, northern Jordan, and northern Saudi Arabia. It is one of the largest volcanic fields in the Arabian Peninsula, and it is characterized by its extensive lava flows, cinder cones, and basaltic rock formations. The region is dominated by black basaltic rock and lava fields, creating a stark, rugged landscape. The volcanic activity that formed this area began many years ago and continued into relatively recent geological times. This field contains numerous cinder cones, which are small, steep-sided volcanic cones built from the accumulation of volcanic debris. The lava flows have spread over large areas, giving the region a very distinctive, dark appearance. Harat al-Sham is not just a geological wonder, but also a site of significant archaeological interest. The region is dotted with ancient ruins, petroglyphs, and evidence of early human settlement. The harsh environment has preserved many of these artifacts, providing valuable insights into the early history of the area. Despite its harsh and seemingly inhospitable environment, Harat al-Sham supports a unique ecosystem. Various plant and animal species have adapted to the volcanic terrain, and the area is home to several endemic species. The region has been of interest to geologists, archaeologists, and researchers due to the unique landscape and also the historical significance. Recent studies have focused on understanding the volcanic history of the area and its impact on human settlements. Because Harat al-Sham is a remarkable example of how volcanic activity has shaped the geography and history of the Middle East, creating a landscape that is as rich in natural beauty as it is in historical significance. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. The Harat al-Sham region is home to a series of mysterious geoglyphs, often referred to as desert kites or stone structures. These geoglyphs are large ancient designs and patterns made by arranging stones on the desert floor. They are visible only from the air and have puzzled researchers for years due to their complexity and unclear purpose. As mentioned, one of the most famous types of geoglyphs in Harat al-Sham are these desert kites. Large, kite-shaped structures, sometimes stretching hundreds of meters across. They consist of two or more stone walls that converge into a narrow, enclosed space. The prevailing theory is that they were used as traps for hunting animals, guiding herds into the narrow ends where they could be captured or killed. Another intriguing type of geoglyph found in Harat al-Sham is the wheel structure. These are circular patterns with spokes radiating from a central hub, resembling the spokes of a wheel. Some of these structures have been found to align with astronomical events, such as the solstices, suggesting they may have had a ceremonial or calendrical purpose. The region also features other types of geoglyphs. Rectangular enclosures, long straight lines of stones. The purpose of these structures is still largely unknown, with some researchers speculating that they could have been used for rituals or marking territories, or even as pathways. The age of these geoglyphs is difficult to determine, but they are generally believed to date back to the Neolithic period, which was around 9,000 years ago. Theories about their purpose vary widely, from practical uses in hunting to more symbolic and ritualistic functions. While these geoglyphs have been known to local Bedouin tribes for centuries, They were first brought to the attention of the wider world in the 1920s through aerial photography. In recent years, satellite imagery and drones have provided new insights, revealing the full extent and complexity of these structures. However, almost everything about them remains a mystery, particularly concerning their creators and the exact purpose that they served. Some of the wheel structures seem to align with way too many celestial events, leading to speculation that they might have had a role in ancient astronomical observations or ceremonies. Some of the wheel structures even have a sort of biological appearance to them, as if our ancient ancestors understood something much deeper than we expect them to have understood. The mysterious geoglyphs in al-Sham, like these desert kites and wheel structures, have sometimes been linked to theories about extraterrestrial involvement, due to their large scale and the fact that they are best seen from above. Explorers and nomads traversing the vast and desolate expanses of al-Sham have stumbled upon strange, metallic objects buried beneath the black, basaltic rock and sand. These objects, unlike anything crafted by human hands, are said to possess properties that defy explanation. They are incredibly durable, resistant to corrosion, and emit faint, unexplained energy fields, allegedly. Some of these artifacts are believed to be remnants of advanced technology far beyond the capabilities of ancient civilizations. Intricate carvings and symbols adorn the surfaces of these objects, resembling no known language or script on Earth. Nobody knows what it says or where these things are from. The objects are thought to be components of alien machinery, possibly parts of communication devices, maybe navigation instruments, or even tools for manipulating energy or matter. Honestly, our imagination defines the limit. The theory suggests that these artifacts were left behind by extraterrestrial visitors who made contact with ancient human societies in the region. The geoglyphs, such as the desert kites and wheel structures, are said to be a result of these interactions, either as messages left for humanity to decode or as markings created to guide future visitors from the stars. Some believe that the alignment of certain structures with celestial events was not just a coincidence, but a deliberate act by these otherworldly beings. Legends speak of a secretive group of guardians, or a hidden society that has protected these alien relics for millennia. And according to these tales, the guardians are the descendants of those who were entrusted with the artifacts by extraterrestrial visitors. They have kept the knowledge of these artifacts hidden from the outside world, only revealing it to those deemed worthy. In the vicinity of these supposed artifacts, strange phenomena have been reported. There's been unexplained lights in the sky, odd magnetic anomalies, and sudden drops in temperature, and they're all attributed to the lingering presence of what might be alien technology. Some even claim that the artifacts found in the sand can influence the minds of those who come too close, causing visions, dreams, or sudden bursts of inspiration. In this version of the theory, modern governments and secret organizations have become aware of the existence of these artifacts. Covert operations have been carried out to retrieve them, and any public discoveries are swiftly covered up. Researchers who get too close or are either discredited or disappear under mysterious circumstances. The truth, according to the myth, is being kept from the public to prevent widespread panic or to harness the alien technology for undisclosed purposes. If these theories, were true, they would suggest that humanity has essentially been in contact with extraterrestrial civilizations far longer than we currently believe. The artifacts might hold the key to understanding advanced technologies, perhaps even unlocking new energy sources or maybe different methods of space travel. The geoglyphs at al-Sham, rather than being simple hunting traps or ceremonial structured, would be reinterpreted as a form of communication or a message that's been left by ancient visitors from beyond. The al-Sham Hypogeum is an ancient underground temple and burial site in Paula, Malta, dating back to around 4000 BCE. This subterranean structure is known for its intricate architecture, acoustic properties, and the discovery of thousands of human remains. It is one of the most significant archaeological sites in the world and has been shrouded in mystery for decades. People speak of the Paris catacombs in hushed whispers, but the Maltese catacombs are far more ancient and also make the tunnels in Paris seem like a topic of children's stories. One of the most chilling tales associated with the al-Sham Hypogeum involves a group of school children who reportedly vanished within the labyrinth underground chambers in the early 20th century. The story goes that a group of children, accompanied by their teacher, was touring the Hypogeum as part of an educational visit. But while exploring the deeper, more secluded parts of the complex, the group allegedly ventured into a chamber that was not on the official tour route. As the children entered this hidden chamber, they reportedly disappeared from sight, leaving their teacher and the guide bewildered. Despite extensive search efforts, they were never found, leading the British government to seal off many of these tunnels permanently. The tour guide and the teacher both disappeared under mysterious circumstances, and they were never even acknowledged to have existed in the first place, despite the fact that living relatives of these children are still alive today in Malta. A particularly eerie aspect of the theory is the claim that even after the tunnels were sealed, the children's voices could still be heard by locals for weeks, leading to further speculation that the children might have been trapped in some sort of time loop or alternate dimension, unable to return. The disappearance is often attributed to supernatural or mysterious forces linked to the ancient site. Some speculate that the Hypogeum may have secret passages or hidden rooms that have yet to be discovered, possibly leading to otherworldly realms or dimensions. Others believe that the children may have just been victims of this time slip or a spatial anomaly created by the unique energy of the site. We may never know, as the British government, as we said, sealed the tunnels, and they are still sealed to this day. In the National Geographic article, Wanderers a Wheel in Malta from August 1940, Richard Walter vividly describes Malta's complex and mysterious underground world. This is in National Geographic, including the extensive network of tunnels and catacombs beneath the islands. This article is particularly notable for recounting the chilling story. One of the most persistent theories related to mysterious underground complexes like the al-Sham Hypogeum is the idea of hidden subterranean civilizations. Some believe that deep beneath the Earth's surface, ancient and advanced societies may still exist, possibly remnants of pre-flood civilizations like Atlantis or Lemuria. These civilizations are thought to have retreated underground to escape cataclysmic events on the surface, continuing to evolve in secrecy. The labyrinthine tunnels of Malta, as described in the National Geographic article, could be remnants of such a civilization or even a gateway to their hidden world. The connections between ancient structures and extraterrestrials is a popular theory in fringe archaeology, right? According to the hypothesis, alien beings visited Earth in the distant past and interacted with early human civilizations, imparting advanced knowledge or technology. The complex underground structures in Malta, including the Hypogeum, might have been created with the help of these extraterrestrials. The theory suggests that the disappearances could be linked to encounters with these otherworldly beings, who might use such subterranean locations for their own purposes. But we all know that aliens could be something else. They could be demons or fallen angels. Another theory suggests that certain ancient sites, like the Hypogeum, might be located on hotspots where the fabric of reality is thinner, such as a dimensional bleed, where two dimensions collide or open up into each other. allowing for time slips or the opening of doorways to other dimensions. The idea is that the missing children and their teachers might have accidentally wandered through such a portal, leading them into another time or dimension from which they simply couldn't return. And this could also explain the reported sounds of the children's voices after their disappearance. Echoes, perhaps, from another reality. Who knows how it works? The hollow earth theory suggests that the planet is not solid, but contains vast empty spaces, possibly inhabited by advanced beings. This theory, though obviously widely discredited by mainstream science, remains a staple in alternative archaeology and conspiracy theories. The tunnels and chambers beneath Malta could be seen as entrances to this inner world, with the missing children accidentally venturing too far into this hidden realm. Again, who can say for sure? As this story has been completely silenced. Some researchers believe that ancient structures around the world, including those in Malta, are built along ley lines, mystical alignments of power from the Earth's energies, you could say. These lines are thought to connect various sacred sites, forming a global energy grid. The Hypogeum might be located at a powerful node in this grid, amplifying paranormal phenomena, including disappearances, strange sounds, and other unexplained events. A psychological explanation for the missing children could involve the concept of mass hypnosis or hysteria. It's suggested that certain ancient sites might have been designed to induce altered states of consciousness, such as the Hypogeum. And this can possibly be done through acoustic effects, which is what is speculated went on in the Hypogeum. The eerie atmosphere and the power of suggestion could have led the adults in the group to experience some kind of delusional state, believing that the children had vanished when they had simply wandered off or been hidden. Again, just another idea for what may have happened in this bizarre story. The story of the missing children in Malta parallels other global myths and legends as well, such as the Pied Piper, where children are led away by a mysterious figure and they are never returned. This might suggest a sort of universal archetype or collective memory of an event where children were taken from us, possibly rooted in historical incidents of mass disappearances or abductions, either by human or by supernatural forces. That's really not that far-fetched to consider, because we, at least if you are a believer, you kind of already believe that we have been genetically attacked before in the past. At one point, it practically forced God to have a great reset. Some modern conspiracy theories propose that the British government or other authorities might have been conducting secret experiments in the Hypogeum or other underground sites. The children's disappearance could be linked to these experiments, with their voices heard afterwards possibly being a result of a residual energy from these clandestine activities. The story of sealing the tunnels might have been a cover-up to prevent the truth from coming to light. Some proponents of the theory suggest that the tunnels might be connected to supernatural or extraterrestrial forces. The Hypogeum's acoustics and the disorienting nature of its passages could have played a role in the disappearance, either by leading the children into a different dimension or by making them victims of some ancient curse. There are also suggestions that the tunnels might be part of a broader network connected to other ancient sites around the world, with some speculating about the involvement of alien beings or otherworldly entities to this day. But when we talk about alien beings and otherworldly beings, we're not just talking about the potential for little green men, right? This goes much, much deeper and extends from the dawn of time to right now, this very second. You see, the connection between the legends of missing children in places like Al-Sham, human sacrifices in the surrounding region, the glyphs at al-Sham, the Black Desert, they're all connected. They're all connected by this very ancient concept of an extremely powerful serpent people. And it taps into a rich vein of oral history, conspiracy theories, written histories, archaeological finds, mythologies, stories, legends. There is a serpent cult in this area, and there has been for thousands and thousands of years. Many ancient cultures have myths about these serpent-like beings or reptilian entities, often associated with knowledge, the underworld, or other supernatural powers. These beings are sometimes depicted as wise, ancient, and possessing abilities beyond those of normal humans. For example, Naga in Hindu and Buddhist traditions are serpent deities that dwell in the underworld and are often connected to water and hidden treasures. Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent god of Mesoamerican cultures, is associated with wisdom, wind, and the creation of the world. In ancient Sumerian mythology, the god Enki, who is sometimes depicted with serpent-like qualities, is associated with wisdom and the deep, mysterious waters of the Absu. In many of these myths, certain people or reptilian beings are said to dwell underground in vast, subterranean realms. This connects directly to the idea of mysterious disappearances in underground tunnels, and we talk about that in caves and tunnel systems all over the world. It's just like those in the Hypogeum or the al-Sham, where the missing children could be thought to have encountered or been taken by ancient beings. The tunnels and underground chambers in these stories might be seen as remnants of ancient serpent people's realms, which are now lost or hidden from the modern world. The theory might suggest that the children and many of those who have gone missing in the Black Desert and the Hypogeum stumbled upon or were lured into this ancient domain of serpent people, or a serpent god, an Annunaki, an Elohim, who are believed to still exist in these hidden underground worlds. They could literally be physical beings. The children's disappearance could be interpreted as them being taken by these beings, either for nefarious purposes or as part of an ancient ritual that humans just don't understand. Right? In the Black Desert, the harsh volcanic landscape and ancient geoglyphs could have been seen as markers or remnants from these serpent people's civilization. In the Hypogeum, the subterranean complex with its tunnels and mysterious acoustic properties, they could be linked to an ancient serpent worship or dwelling place of serpent beings. And there's much more evidence that points to this being true. The Hypogeum might have been a site where ancient humans interacted with or worshipped these serpent entities, and the children's disappearance could be tied to this forgotten history. In modern conspiracy theories, those, especially those related to reptilian entities or the reptilian elite, popularized by figures like David Icke, these beings are believed to secretly control world events from hidden bases, often said to be underground. The missing children could be woven into these narratives as victims or participants in some broader, hidden agenda involving reptilian entities. They could be victims of blood magic, rituals, human sacrifice. This theory would align with the idea that these serpent people or their descendants still operate, and it's my opinion that they do, in secret. Both al-Sham and the Hypogeum could be viewed as locations on a global network of ancient serpent people sites. The alignment of geoglyphs, underground tunnels, the mysterious disappearances, I think they can all be interpreted as evidence for these beings' enduring influence in our world. The disappearances, though rare, are significant, and their interactions with these entities, in my opinion. If we question the narrative and we put down the soft water for just 1 second and entertain the idea that the Hal-Saflieni Hypogeum in Malta extends far deeper than officially acknowledged, a fascinating array of let's just call it speculative evidence, emerges, painting a picture of this ancient, vast, and possibly otherworldly subterranean complex. And I realize we're venturing a little bit into the hollow earth theory, but that's not really the focus. Nevertheless, proponents of that theory argue that only a fraction of the Hypogeum has ever been explored, and that many of its lower levels remain sealed off by authorities. According to some accounts, these lower levels descend much deeper into the earth, leading to vast underground networks that could extend across Malta or even connect with other ancient subterranean sites around the world. The official narrative suggests that these passages were sealed due to instability, but some still believe that they were closed to hide the true extent of the complex. It wouldn't be the first time that has happened. Several anecdotal accounts and reports, which are often dismissed or downplayed, suggest that workers and early explorers of the Hypogeum encountered deeper tunnels. Some stories, passed down through generations or whispered among locals, claim that these tunnels led to massive caverns, underground lakes, and even structures that appear to be built by non-human hands. These reports, of course, are not officially documented, leading believers to argue that they have been deliberately suppressed. They're always treated as conspiracy theory. The disappearance of the school children and their teachers is recounted in various versions of the story. It's often cited as evidence of the Hypogeum's greater depth. The fact that no trace of the children was ever found, despite extensive searches, is seen as proof that they probably ventured far deeper into the Hypogeum than the known chambers allow. The subsequent sealing of the tunnels is interpreted as an attempt to prevent others from discovering these lower levels. The Hypogeum, of course, is renowned for its unique properties to bend sound, particularly in this so-called room known as the Oracle Room, where sounds are amplified and resonate in strange ways. Some theorists suggest that these acoustic phenomena are not just architectural curiosities, but could indicate the presence of a very vast collection of hollow spaces below, or even hidden chambers that react to sound in unusual ways. They argue that these acoustics could be clues pointing to deeper unexplored sections of the Hypogeum. And on this podcast, we have been researching the effects of sound and how it can open portals extensively, so this makes sense. Believers in the deep Hypogeum theory often connect it to other ancient ground structures worldwide, suggesting that there is some kind of global network of subterranean sites, and the similarities between the Hypogeum and other ancient underground complexes, such as those in Egypt, Turkey, like the Derinkoyu underground city, and even as far as South America, are all cited as evidence that these sites might share a common origin or purpose, possibly related to some ancient civilization with advanced knowledge of underground construction, which is probably something that they considered pretty necessary to do for survival at a lot of times, especially when fire and brimstone and torrential downpour was pouring from the sky, falling from the sky, and just making existence very difficult at times. Large animals, massive creatures that would prey upon them, their own enemies, giants, any number of Nephilim or mythological beings that were actually around back then might have driven people underground. Right? That would make them experts in underground construction. Far more advanced than we are now, at least more knowledgeable. There are claims that archaeologists and researchers who ventured too close to discovering the truth about the Hypogeum's depths were either silenced, some have been murdered, by the way, or had their findings completely covered up, stolen, or both. Stories circulate about forbidden expeditions and lost reports that documented deeper explorations of the Hypogeum, all of which were supposedly suppressed to keep the public from knowing the true extent of the complex. Now, local legends about Malta often speak of vast underground realms and tunnels that crisscross the entire island. These stories are passed down through generations. They're interpreted by conspiracy theorists as probable evidence that the Hypogeum is probably the tip of an iceberg, the iceberg being an ancient forgotten network that could hold keys to understanding lost civilizations, demonic presences, God, or even connections to actual aliens, beings that we haven't discovered yet that are in space or whatever that aren't angels or demons. Riley Hansard Crabb, a prominent figure in the mid-20th century who delved into the realms of the paranormal and fringe science, if you want to call it that, made several claims and speculations regarding the tunnels beneath Malta, particularly those connected to the Hal-Saflieni Hypogeum. As the director of the Borderland Science Research Foundation, Crabb was known for exploring and promoting ideas that often fell outside the mainstream scientific discourse. Crabb believed that the Hypogeum and its tunnels were part of a much larger ancient subterranean network that extended across Malta and possibly connected to other similar underground structures around the world. He speculated that these tunnels might have been used by an ancient, possibly pre-human civilization that had advanced knowledge of underground construction and possibly otherworldly connections. Of course, Crabb was a proponent of the hollow earth theory, which of course says that the earth is either entirely hollow or contains vast underground caverns inhabited by beings of some type or another. He suggested that perhaps the tunnels beneath the Hypogeum could be entry points or remnants of these vast subterranean realms. And according to Crabb, the government and academic institutions were actively suppressing the true extent of these tunnels to keep the knowledge hidden from the public. He also linked the tunnels to esoteric and occult traditions. He believed that the Hypogeum was more than just an ancient burial site. It was a place of power, possibly used for rituals or as a gateway to another dimension or spirit realm. He theorized that the layout and acoustic properties of the Hypogeum were designed to facilitate these activities, possibly by an ancient priesthood with knowledge, maybe of Earth's hidden energies. Crabb speculated that the tunnels might still be inhabited by non-human entities, whether they were remnants of ancient serpent people, as some stories suggest, or just beings from another dimension or planet. He suggested that those who ventured too deep into the tunnels might encounter these entities, which could explain the disappearances and strange phenomena that are associated with the Hypogeum. Crabb's ideas, while intriguing to those who are interested in this kind of stuff, are of course completely shot down by mainstream historians and archaeologists. But his work continues to influence modern-day conspiracy theorists and paranormal enthusiasts who believe that the true history of humanity, particularly in relation to ancient sites like the Hypogeum, is far more complex and hidden than what is commonly taught. But Crabb wasn't the only prominent figure to question the beast, okay? Reverend Emmanuel Magri, a Jesuit priest and pioneering archaeologist in Malta, is deeply connected to the history and mystery of the Hal-Saflieni Hypogeum. His involvement with the site and his untimely death have fueled various conspiracy theories, including those that he knew some things that he wasn't supposed to know, so they got rid of him, essentially, and took all his research. Reverend Emmanuel Magri was the first person to conduct formal excavations at the Hal-Saflieni Hypogeum in the early 1900s. He was no chump. This guy was the first of something. And he was very good at what he did, and he did it all over the world. His work was crucial in uncovering the significance of the site, revealing it as a vast underground burial complex with elaborate chambers, altars, and a significant number of human remains. Magri's discoveries laid the groundwork for understanding Malta's prehistoric culture, but they also opened the door to numerous mysteries. Magri's sudden and somewhat mysterious death in 1907 while he was in Tunisia, of all places, has been a focal point for conspiracy theories. At the time of his death, he was still actively involved in the Hypogeum's excavation. And after his death, many of his excavation records and notes went missing, leading many to speculate why and who took them. Obviously, this gives rise to quite a few conspiracy theories. Some believe that Magri might have uncovered something extraordinary, such as evidence of a lost civilization or connections to ancient myths and legends, which was subsequently covered up or lost to history. Because who knows what is just lost, right? Not everything is stolen from us. Some history is just simply lost. But the loss of these records has fueled ongoing intrigue and mystery surrounding his work, particularly at the Hypogeum. In the case of Magri, his evidence was clearly stolen or destroyed. Some theorists suggest that the missing documents could have contained information about much deeper unexplored chambers or unusual findings that were never made public. As we said before, he did this all over the place. This guy was not a rookie at this. Apart from the Hypogeum, Magri also conducted extensive research on Malta's megalithic temples, which included sites like Tarxian, Minyarda, I'm going to mispronounce these words, I'm sorry, and Hagar Kim. His work helped to establish the chronological framework for these temples, showing that they were amongst the oldest freestanding structures in the world, predating Stonehenge and the Great Pyramids of Giza. Okay? This ain't no simple pile of rocks on some beach somewhere. Magri's meticulous documentation of these sites, including detailed sketches and notes, provided a foundation for future archaeological work in Malta. His observations on the alignment of the temples with celestial events suggested that these structures had not only religious but also astronomical significance. These were intelligently built. Crabbe and Magri and others in the paranormal and conspiracy sort of theory community, I guess you could call it, have latched onto this idea that there was probably something extraordinary in the Hypogeum. And Magri probably had evidence that was just too powerful, too strong. It definitely enforces the idea that the tunnels were deliberately concealed from the public when they were sealed up, which aligns with Crabbe's theories about suppressed knowledge and his ancient subterranean networks. One such example of that suppressed knowledge, by the way, includes the tales of the Gazetan Gigantus. You know we love giants on the 21 CD podcast. There's one in Malta, baby. The Gazetan Gigantus. Is that how you say it? Is it Gigantus? Gigantus? I'm going to say Gigantus. But it refers to a figure from Maltese folklore, particularly associated with the megalithic temples of the island of Gozo, such as the Gantia temples. Gozo is part of the Maltese archipelago in the Mediterranean Sea. It's one of these Maltese islands, and these temples are among the most significant and ancient structures in Malta, dating back, like we said, to the Neolithic period, which is around 3600 to 3200 BC. And the complex consists of two megalithic temples surrounded by a common boundary wall. And these temples are now part of a UNESCO World Heritage Site known as the Megalithic Temples of Malta. And it includes several other ancient temple sites on the islands of Malta and Gozo. The complex is insane And again, if you're listening to me on a podcast, there's going to be videos on the YouTube. But you're probably asking yourself, though, did he say gigantess? Yes, I did. The term gigantess suggests a giant woman or a female giant. And this figure is tied to the local legends about the construction of these ancient structures. You don't often get stories of female giants. That's why this is very significant to me. According to Maltese folklore, the Gantija temples, which are some of the oldest freestanding stone structures in the world, like we said, were built by a race of giants. The legend specifically mentions a giantess, and she carried these massive stones on her head to build the temples. She was reportedly so strong that she could carry and place the stones effortlessly, even while carrying a child. In some versions of the tale, she is not just a builder, but also a figure of great wisdom and strength, representing the powerful, almost mythical beings that the ancient Maltese people believed were responsible for the creation of these monumental structures. The Gantija temples on Gozo, are often cited in connection with the giantess. And these temples date back to around 3600 or 3200 BC. So, holy cow, now we've got Nephilim in Malta as well. You see what I mean? How this stuff just, it all comes together all of a sudden. Everything that we talk about in all these individual episodes, they just combine on this story. And it all starts with this black desert and these weird geoglyphs that somehow connect to the missing children in Malta, where there is a subterranean tunnel system with evidence of an ancient serpent cult within its realm. That's crazy. The Maltese word Gant, meaning giant, directly links this site to the legend of the Gazetan gigantus. But of course, there's other things. Like we said before, there were thousands of skeletal remains, including otherworldly skulls. Is probably one of the most intriguing and mysterious aspects of any of his discoveries. These skulls have been the subject of course, tons of speculation and have fueled tons of conspiracy theories and fringe beliefs. And they're described as having an abnormally elongated shape, which is something we've heard before in other parts of the world, and it's often referred to as dolichocephalic. This feature is different from the natural cranial elongation practices found in other ancient cultures, though, like head binding. Instead, these skulls appeared to have naturally elongated forms, leading some to speculate that they belong to a different species or race of beings, possibly reptilian. And statues and artifacts have been found in Jordan and Gaza and Palestine, supporting this idea. Right around Malta. All this stuff is right around Malta, guys. It's all connected. Another unusual feature reported about these skulls was the absence of cranial sutures, which are the joints between the bones of the skull. In typical human skulls, these sutures are very clearly visible, but in the skulls found by Magri, they were reportedly just missing altogether or unusually fused, which added to this speculation that these might not be from Earth. Or might be some kind of species that is from Earth that just doesn't exist anymore. Who knows? These Maltese skulls are often claimed to have larger cranial capacity than normal human skulls, which would imply not just a different shape of brain, but also a completely different brain structure altogether. And this is in contrast to the artificially elongated skulls that we find elsewhere, where the brain capacity remains unchanged despite its altered shape. Isn't that crazy? The brain in these skulls would have to have been different than the human brain. Of course, one of the most popular theories surrounding these skulls is that they might belong to extraterrestrial beings who visited or lived on Earth in ancient times. And proponents of that ancient alien hypothesis suggest that these beings could have been responsible for the constructions of Malta's megaliths and, including the Hypogeum, and that the skulls are evidence of their presence. Sure, in some kind of roundabout way, I could see that. I don't believe in aliens the same way that other people do. I believe that they're all spiritual beings of some type. Which brings us to the Nephilim. Some theorists in this space connect these skulls to the Nephilim, which were a race of giants. Everybody who is OG on my podcast has heard me talk about them. We're not going to get too far into them today. But they're a race of giants, mentioned in the Bible. Giants. They argue that the elongated skulls could belong to these mythical beings, or another race of possibly supernatural entities that once inhabited Earth. A different version of Nephilim, a different fallen angel-made species. There's a conspiracy theory that the skulls were deliberately hidden or suppressed after their discovery. According to this theory, shortly after Magri's death, the skulls were lost or taken by authorities to prevent the public from learning about their existence. And this could be because of the implications they might have for our understanding of human history. Of course it is. Mainstream archaeology typically explains elongated skulls through cultural practices or cranial deformation, a common practice in several ancient cultures, or through genetic abnormalities, to be honest. However, the specific skulls Magri found have become part of a larger narrative due to their disappearance completely. That kind of rules out just somebody with a deformed skull, but also all of his writings on these skulls. If they weren't something, they wouldn't matter. These skulls are often cited in discussions about hidden histories and the possibility, of course, of ancient civilizations or extraterrestrial involvement in human affairs or supernatural involvement in human affairs. In addition to the elongated skulls, Magri is said to have discovered other skeletal remains that just don't conform to typical human anatomy. We want everything to fit in these boxes that we've made for ourselves in this space, in archaeology and science, but the stuff that is found does not always fit in those boxes. And if it doesn't fit, it's just cast out, even though the reality is right in front of you. These skeletons reportedly had unusual bone structures, such as extra limbs or joints. Of course, that gives rise to the hybrid beings theory, or genetic mutations possibly caused by ancient experimentation. We've talked about that a little bit before. Some have proposed that the bones could show a different alignment or articulation that would be more consistent with a reptilian stance versus a human stance. It might have such details as a more pronounced spine or tailbone. The creature might have walked upright, but with a distinctly non-human sort of gait. It would have been incredible to be able to study the teeth, for instance, and see what kind of teeth they had. Were they similar to reptiles, or who were these guys? Of course, Magri also found giant bones, and they're less commonly reported than elongated skulls. But there were exceptionally large bones thought to belong to a race of giants that were found. Magri also reportedly found a variety of other artifacts in the Hypogeum that were unlike anything else from the same period, such as figurines. Some of these figurines found in the Hypogeum were distinctly different from typical Neolithic representations. They were often described as being more abstract or unusual in form, leading to speculation that they might represent non-human beings. And some of the pottery and stones uncovered by Magri were said to be inscribed with symbols or markings that didn't match any known writing system or iconography from the region. Another forgotten tribe, you could say. And these symbols have been theorized by some to be either ancient lost language or possibly signs left by visitors from other realms, right? So now you can kind of see the combination of Magri's ultimate untimely death, the mysterious loss of his records, and the unusual nature of the artifacts and remains that he allegedly uncovered. It's left a lasting impact on the lore, right, surrounding the Hypogeum. And while much of the more sensational claims about his discoveries remain in the realm of speculation, they do continue to intrigue. There's a hidden history out there. Magri's death in 1907 occurred under circumstances that most people find highly suspicious. He died while he was, as we said, on a mission in Tunisia, not long after making significant discoveries at the Hypogeum. He took a break from the Hypogeum, went to Tunisia, he was going to come back, but he died. The timing of his death, just as he was uncovering some of the most insane artifacts and remains, is seen as too coincidental to be purely accidental. And some believe that he might have been silenced to prevent him from revealing something absolutely extraordinary about the Hypogeum or Malta's ancient history. Details surrounding Magri's death are vague and not well documented, which fuels further speculation. Some theorists suggest that Magri might have been poisoned or otherwise assassinated by parties interested in keeping his discoveries secret. But the lack of a clear cause of death, coupled with the mysterious disappearance of his records, adds to the narrative that, of course, Magri's death was not natural. It was a planned event, probably to maintain secrecy. Magri was working under the auspices of both the church and colonial authorities, so that gives you more room for conspiracy. The involvement of powerful institutions, which might have had reasons to keep certain discoveries hidden, is seen as further evidence of a cover-up. The idea is that these authorities might have orchestrated Magri's death to prevent any information about potentially out-of-this-world findings, like evidence of ancient civilizations, right? As a Jesuit priest, though, Magri was part of the Catholic Church, an institution that is historically involved in controlling and preserving religious and historical narratives, and obviously changing them. If Magri's findings at the Hypogeum had implications that conflicted with church teachings, or could undermine religious authority, that right there could be a motive to silence him. The idea is that revealing such findings might challenge the church's version of history, which is very important to them, by the way. Particularly in relation to creation, human origins, and the role of divine intervention, who it happens to and when. Magri's discoveries might have posed a significant threat to the established academic community as well. Yeah, if he uncovered evidence that contradicted prevailing theories about human evolution, ancient civilizations, or the development of religious practices, occult wisdom, any of that kind of stuff, it could have led to widespread academic upheaval, essentially. A collapse of the narrative. There might have been efforts to discredit or eliminate him to protect the reputation and careers of prominent scholars and institutions, but also it could be much more, it could be much deeper than that. It could be very much a part of the spiritual war to keep this narrative that there is no divine creator. After Magri's death, the Hypogeum was further explored by other archaeologists, but of course, as you can imagine, many believe that subsequent work was intentionally limited, or that the important discoveries were just not reported. They were kept from the public eye. And this theory suggests that Magri had stumbled upon something so significant that it led to its own controlled narrative of what could be shared with the public. ensuring, of course, that any unsettling or paradigm-shifting information remained completely hidden. Whatever he discovered could have had several implications on the narratives being shaped at the time by both the church and what some people refer to as Mystery Babylon cults. You guys have heard me talk about the Mystery Babylon cults before. And it includes the Brotherhood of the Snake and the cults that worshipped these ancient snake deities in the area of Malta and the Black Desert, of Gaza, Palestine. Ironically, the place of most tension right now in the world. Right? What a coincidence. Listen, guys, there is a lot more. We're not even halfway through this story. But we are over an hour into this episode, and so I am left with the difficult decision here to make a part 2 and possibly a part 3. I hope this is interesting for you guys. I hope you guys are enjoying the story so far. Just know we have just scratched the surface of this story. It leads all the way to modern times, to you, to me, to all the people. And it starts with this little black desert and this missing class. And it just gets crazier and crazier because it could all be part of something that is so much bigger and reaches to each and every single one of us. So I hope you guys liked this episode. Obviously, it means a lot to me that you guys continue to listen. If you guys want to support the podcast, like I said before, please go to 21cdstudios.com. Find my links up at the top of the page and just follow me everywhere. Share me with your friends. We got to get more people on the podcast. And I will see you guys next time. Definitely be looking out for the next part of this, okay? I can't stress that enough. You guys are going to want to hear what comes next. We get into the origins of the reptile gods, this serpent cult, the Annunaki, the Templars, and the Knights of Malta, more Nephilim talk, and DNA splicing that is going on under Malta, all this kind of stuff. It's crazy, and it's probably still going on to some extent today. This serpent cult is probably still doing stuff today because the gods have not disappeared. The evil entities that started all this, they're still out there. All right, guys, I will see you next time on the 21CD podcast. And remember, don't drink the water and question everything. Later.